Hey everyone! Okay, so if you watched my last video with Brittany Pettibone, you are probably well aware of some of the craziness surrounding the Defend Europe mission. Shockingly though, that video didn't really even get into the half of it. Some of you may have seen articles on your timeline this week saying that the Defend Europe Sea Star was accused of illegally smuggling migrants and the entire crew and captain were arrested. Yeah, the NGOs who are going off to the coast of Libya running a ferry service for migrants were trying to get the Sea Star stopped by saying the identitarians are the ones actually people trafficking. And this is certainly not the first batch of lies being told to try and stop them. The reason the Sea Star had a slight delay in the Suez Canal was not because they were arrested for good or because they were doing anything illegal. It was because NGOs were continually calling foreign governments and lying, saying the identitarians had mercenaries and weapons on board. Slanderous claims that could seriously threaten people's lives. Now, beyond this lobbying, the media lies, and the corporate shutdowns of Defend Europe accounts, obviously the government are involved in trying to stop this mission as well. Probably Interpol or something like that, since the group are being followed all across the world. The Defend Europe crew have also had all of their passports flagged, and even I am detained every time I go through the airport now. And based on security's reaction and immediate calling of superiors, I can only imagine that giant red text of literal Nazi terrorist shows up on their screen when they scan my documents. But despite all of this silliness, the lies and the setbacks continue to fail. So this is not a video to complain at all, because all great things in life take effort and will always be met with massive opposition that you have to be prepared to face if you try to change things. But I really do think it is important to talk about why exactly there are media, politicians, corporations, and NGOs that are willing to go to these unthinkable lengths to oppose this mission. What really got me thinking about this in the first place was a conversation I was having with some of the activists over dinner a week and a bit ago. And Martin Sellner, one of the guys who spearheaded the Defend Europe mission, was telling me something that I found extremely profound. He said that when he first became an activist, he had a moment of realization where it really hit him just how little freedom we actually have. His exact quote was, "You only feel your shackles when you move." So if you sit inside all day, play video games, go to your part-time job, and maybe smoke a little pot that the government doesn't care that much about, then party on the weekend, you're gonna feel pretty darn free, and you won't have too many complaints about the current state of affairs. Your small little rebellions of smoking weed or maybe going over the speed limit every once in a while don't really threaten anyone in power, so you'll find yourself repeatedly getting away with them. But when you start to question things, when you really start to challenge the status quo, that perception of a free world falls away pretty damn quickly. By now, we are all well aware of how much crap you can get in for trying to just talk about changing the world. A lot of people are very, very happy with their current positions, the money they have flowing in, and the power they have access to. And they really do not want that order disrupted by a bunch of revolutionaries on the internet putting wrongthink into people's minds. And boy, are they ever feeling threatened right now. And that is why they are lashing out with censorship, with shadow banning, with fines, slander, and even arrests. There can be some pretty serious consequences these days for questioning the status quo. And the sheer amount of people doing that now has put those in power into full panic mode, especially because that talk is starting to turn into action. And when you think about all of the opposition to free speech by those in power today, just imagine how much worse the opposition is if you actually go out and disrupt the current order. If you go and expose firsthand what those in power are doing and threaten to shut down their narrative, their income, and their control. We've already seen firsthand some examples of what happens to these people. Just look at cases like Julian Assange or Ross Ulbricht or the Bundy Ranch case. Regardless of your position on their actions, it is obvious how heavy the hand of government and media come down on those who disrupt the current order. We're talking about punishments of death, and jail for life. While people like Hillary Clinton, who arguably have committed significantly worse crimes, violating numerous rules, laws, regulations, and putting the entire United States at risk, get total blanket immunity. And that's because the actions or lack thereof made by governments against these individuals were not about upholding the law or justice. They were about upholding the current order of those in power and the current narrative. And that is exactly what is going to happen with Defend Europe. Just like how we all know Julian Assange didn't rape that girl, we all know that the Sea Star are not secretly trying to operate a mission to illegally smuggle migrants into Europe, the exact opposite of their stated goals. But the people their mission threatens will do anything. They will lie, they will cheat, they will bribe. It doesn't matter because it is not about ethics, it is about power and money. So that is exactly what they've done. According to my friends taking part in the Defend Europe mission, who I trust a lot more than the NGOs who have been repeatedly lying, an NGO bribed members of their hired Sri Lankan training crew to apply for asylum in Europe. Some of them accepted the offer, which seemed totally legitimate to them, and then they used that to have the whole crew and captain arrested. The media had a total field day with this. But you probably haven't heard much about the fact that they've all been released because the entire thing was bullcrap. Once again, another lie foiled. And the Defend Europe mission is going ahead despite all of these roadblocks. There's still a very real chance they could fail because they truly are going up against some of the most powerful people in the world right now. But the fact that they have made it this far and that people are still backing them up, paying attention to what's going on and questioning fake news is just amazing. So I wanted to make this video because while I think it is important to expose all of the crap that those who question the status quo are subjected to, I think it is even more important to recognize when it has been conquered and when victories happen, because otherwise we just get left feeling hopeless and like we can't challenge these huge organizations and governments that oppose anyone who questions their narrative. Just take a look at this recent status by Hope Not Hate. Dangerous Defend Europe limps across the start line. Forced to abandon Sicily and join their vessel in Cyprus following significant lobbying of funding platforms, ports, media, and other parties by Hope Not Hate and partners, the deluded mission by far-right activists to harass NGO ships in the Mediterranean finally begins. Now, even though they refer to this as the crew barely limping across the start line, that is a victory. It may seem small, but it sure pissed off all the right people, and it sure wasted a lot of their time and money trying to stop this. There are a bunch of Antifa who emptied their pockets blocking a port in Catania with no Defend Europe ship there. There are verified liberal journalists pulling their hair out trying to continually find a way to spin how this mission was a failure. And I can assure you, all of the people at Hope Not Hate are grinding their teeth and clenching their fists in pure rage right now. Because despite the fact that Defend Europe have come out bloodied and bruised by all of these media lies, people can see through it and are still cheering them on. And that is pretty darn cool to watch. So yeah, I just wanted to take a moment to celebrate. And even though you guys probably don't need to hear it, I just wanted to remind you to keep your fake news shields up, because I guarantee the lies have only just begun. But the sheer amount of people being skeptical right now is making more of a change than I ever could have hoped for. So thank you guys so much for your constant fight for truth. It is leading to small victories that will add up in the end. Anyways, I appreciate you guys watching, I appreciate your support, and I will see you next time.